Hello everyone, it is Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Top 10 video. It is Day 2 of Arc-V Bonanza Week, and this time we will be doing the Top 10 unanswered questions or unexplained things that we are left to wonder now that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V anime has come to an end. And let me tell you, there are a lot of things that we as fans are left to ponder. As always, I'm really excited to hear from all of you, and hope you guys let me know your lists down below in the comments. I hope you enjoy, and without further ado, let's begin. Number 10. Kicking off this list might seem like a bit of an obscure one, but I am still pretty surprised that this Academia member did not have a bigger role in the show. We first see him in episode 41 when they show Serena and Reiji in a flashback, meeting on Academia grounds. He clearly is leading the Obelisk fleet chasing down Serena, so he clearly has a role that is more important than your typical Obelisk Force member. This is not the last time we see this guy. He also appears during the final arc to let Akabaleo know that Yuya has escaped from the containment that they had him in. I really thought we would at least get a name for this member, since he seems to have a pretty important role in the sense that he leads Obelisk Force squads and has a direct link to talk to Akabaleo. Maybe they could have used this character instead of Saunders during the Battle Beast duel. It's hard for me to think they designed a character, gave him a big leadership role, and then never had any plans to introduce him. One of the more baffling things in the Arc-V universe, in my opinion. Number 9. Coming in at 9 is, funny enough, another question about an Academia member, and that is Barret. The last time we see Barret is when he is defeated by Sergei. He uses the last of his strength to bring himself and Serena back to Academia. You have to figure Barret was probably severely injured from his wounds against Sergei, but being back in Academia, I'm sure Leo and his staff would have been able to have him 100% by the time Yuya and the others come around. Even if they weren't able to save him, we never hear from him again. It would have been nice to have some closure on his character, whether he did pass away after the Sergei duel or not. You assume if Leo wanted to stall for more time when Yuya arrived, he would have sent Barret to challenge Yuya, especially considering Barret dueled him very well until Sergei showed up, which, keep in mind, Yuya still ended up losing that duel. Even if he had died during the Sergei fight, he would have been revived when the world reset, right? And so why is it that he still doesn't show up when Shun barges into the room and confronts Leo in 145? Wouldn't it make more sense for him to be guarding the door instead of Asuka, who defected from the group before the reset? Barret's fate is definitely a good food for thought topic, and his unexplained absence down the stretch places him at the number 9 spot on this list. Number 8. At number 8, we have something that spawned a lot of theories, and that is from the pre-opening scene that ran during Opening 5 and Opening 6. This scene talks about the U-Boys and the 4 dragons they control. However, there is a strange wormhole-type circle behind Yuri in the fusion dimension. When this was first shown, many fans speculated that this could be a 5th dimension, maybe a black hole caused by all the tests being done by Academia, and many other theories. Now, this is really never explained in greater detail. The most obvious answer is that it's the start of the dimensional integration process, and it's behind the fusion dimension because that is where the dimensional integration started. While that more than likely could be the answer, it would have been nice to get a better explanation on this, or maybe have an updated intro that every time the process was getting closer to being complete, the circle was increasingly getting bigger and bigger. Without definitive closure on this, it is really left up for interpretation at the end of the day, and it deservedly makes this list for me at the number 8 spot. Number 7. Legacy characters were awesome to see in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V, but there are a great deal of questions regarding who they actually are and why certain ones appear in the show, and they take the number 7 spot on this list. Now, I speculated in a theory video why certain legacy characters may have shown up and others didn't, but again, that's merely a theory of mine, not definitive by any means. The legacy characters that we get in Arc-V are not the same characters from the previous shows. Sure, Jack Atlas might look similar and have the same name, but he has a different backstory and a different deck, and is just a completely different character. So are these legacy characters that were revived from the past and don't remember their past lives? And why is it that no Duel Monsters characters appear and only very specific legacy characters appear from each show? Why is it that no protagonists appear in this world? Their place in this universe has always been baffling to me, and it's something that I always have a hard time explaining to someone who has not seen Arc-V. I mean, yes, you can easily chalk it up to them being there just for plot purposes, but you know me, I always try to look at everything analytically, and analytically speaking, there is no concrete answer regarding legacy characters' existence in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V. Number 6. Just missing out on the top 5, but still coming in at a very respectable number 6 is Berserk Mode, or modernized to be known as Awakening. Now, there are some things about this concept that I still have never been able to fully understand. Usually when a U-Boy syncs up with another U-Boy, they go into a state of anger or darkness and usually have no recollection of what happened after. However, there are a lot of inconsistencies with this throughout the show, and the real reason why sometimes Berserk gets triggered and other times it doesn't is never touched upon. For example, when Yuya merges with Yuto, he first goes into into this awakened state during the Kachidoki duel, he's pretty calm during the whole process. A few episodes later, he goes into berserk against the Obelisk Force, and he is much more intense and angry. Maybe this is because Zark's influence was growing on them. The biggest inconsistency is when Yuya and Yugioh synchronize during his duel with Serena. Yuto is nowhere to be found, and Yuya and Yugioh don't get angry or demonic and have a fun duel against Serena. So why did those two have such a positive merge with each other? And even if you want to look past that, why did these two not synchronize during the Yugioh and Rin duel? Yugioh summons his dragon, he was dueling a bracelet girl again, and Yuya was in the vicinity, he was just in a different part of Academia. So like, why did it happen during one duel and not the other? Just the consistency factor of Berserk mode has always confused me, and I wish Leo or someone explained it to some degree, because it really leaves me confused as to why certain things triggered certain reactions and whatnot. So this awakened Berserk mode, synchronized state, whatever you want to call it, takes its place at the number 6 spot. Number 5. Just cracking my top 5 is a plot point that the writers seem to completely forget about, and that is the mystery of Kaito's family. Kaito is introduced in episode 100, and we quickly learn that his family was carded, and that is the reason he is so cold and angry at everyone. After his family was carded, he left the resistance and promised to card as many Academia soldiers as he possibly could in order to get back at them for what he did to his family. Now, this plot point was either completely forgotten by the writers or left untouched purposely, which forces the viewers to wonder, because even after everyone is saved after the universe resets, we never hear or see Kaito's family again. The guy's main motivation in the story is left completely untouched once we leave Heartland. We even see Kaito during the Yuya and Dennis duel alone, without his family by his side. Now we are left to wonder if Kaito's brother and father, Haruto and Dr. Faker, existed in the Arc-V universe, or if Kaito had a completely different family. I feel like a lot was left to be desired with Kaito's story in Arc-V, and the fact they never gave us closure on who his family could have been will always make me wonder if his Arc-V family was the same as his Zexal family. This unanswered question just cracks my top 5. Number 4. Taking my number 4 spot is the reasoning on how Akiba Reiji was able to remember everything that happened after Zark was defeated in the world reset. At the start of episode 141, we see Yuya, Yoko, Shuzo, and a few others living life in the now pendulum dimension like none of the previous 140 episodes happened. Everyone seems to have lost their memory after the worlds were split into 4 again. I mean, Yuya doesn't even remember Yuzu, for crying out loud. However, Akiba Reiji remembers the entire thing. I know the guy is a genius, but seriously, why is he the only one that retained his memories? It makes no sense. They could have said something like, oh, Reiji had this installment on his dual disc that recorded all the events, and he rewatched them after the world reset, or anything along those lines. The fact he has such a vivid memory about every event that happens just baffles me, honestly. Then again, we are talking about Reiji, and nothing he does should baffle anyone at this point. Still, this phenomenon is never touched on, and because of that, it deservedly makes the number 4 spot on this list. Number 3. Time to get to the man on the thumbnail. Coming in at the number 3 spot is none other than Jean-Michel Raget, more so referring to Raget's unknown fate. He was the main villain during the Sinker arc, and after the duel against Reiji, he pretty much went off the deep end and tried to sink the entire city into a wormhole. However, the device went haywire and took Yuzu to the fusion dimension, while it took Shun, Yuya, Shingo, and Gangenzaka to the Xyz dimension. However, before all of these teleports happened, Raget was teleported in a wormhole as well. We never see or hear from him again. What the hell happened to this guy? Did he get teleported to the highly speculated 5th dimension that we never saw? Did he go to the quote-unquote void between dimensions that he was trying to send the entire synchro dimension into? Who the heck knows? But what's really bizarre is when the world is reset, you'd think we would hear from him or at least see him maybe getting arrested or watching on with a changed mindset, but no, he's just gone. I guess we have to assume he's dead, but the reset is what makes me very hesitant to just write off his character as dead, since everyone gets revived. So what is Jean-Michel Raget's fate? Definitely a good, fun debate to have around a kitchen table with friends and family, and it lands on the number 3 spot on my list. Number 2. Coming in at the runner-up spot is the mystery of the Signers and Dark Signers in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V. The Signers played a massive role in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds and were best symbolized by the Crimson Dragon. The Dark Signers were best symbolized by the Earthbound Immortals, and guess what? Both make an appearance in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V. When Jack summons his Red Demon's Dragon, Tyrant, he calls out for the Crimson Dragon, and we even see the Crimson Dragon appear on screen. I remember when I first saw that, I was in absolute shock, almost as shocked as when Sergei uses Earthbound Immortals. So seriously, What the hell is going on here? I don't think it's a coincidence that Jack and Sergey battle each other, almost a reference to a Signer versus Dark Signer duel, with the Signer coming on top as per usual. So is Sergey a Dark Signer? He has no Nazca lines on his face, and none appear when he duels. I wish we had a little more reason on why he just seemed to randomly use Earthbound Immortals. As for the Crimson Dragon, it's weird because Jack summons Red Demon's Dragon Tyrant 4 times throughout the show. The first 2 times he summons it, the Crimson Dragon is shown, but when he summoned it against Zark and Yugioh, it was not shown. As someone who adores the Signers versus Dark Signers arc, I wish they touched on this in a little greater detail, rather than leaving the viewer to wonder if the Signers used to be a thing in this universe, or maybe it's an event that's going to happen in the future, in the Synchro Dimension. We will never know, but this not-so-subtle 5Ds reference makes the runner-up spot on my list. Number 1. The number 1 unanswered moment of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V has to do with a legacy character, and that is the impossible-to-answer question, where in the world is Ryo, Hellkaiser, Zane Truesdale, Marufuji? The more I think about it, the more it makes me wish we saw Kaiser appear in Arc-V. So here's the deal. In episode 116, we see this classroom right before Yugioh teleports into it while riding on his D-Wheel. If you take a close look at the board, you see the name Ryo Marufuji, which, if you are only familiar with the dub, is Zane Truesdale from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. The text translated describes him as being a legendary duelist from the Fusion Dimension, so the question is, where the heck was this legendary duelist during the invasion in Heartland? Or what about when the dimensions were becoming one and all of the duelists were challenging Zark in a last-ditch effort to save everything? It just really irritates me that they confirmed one of the strongest GX duelists exist in Arc-V, and yet he was MIA the entire show. The reason I don't think he defected or turned his back against Academia is because they wouldn't be talking about him in an Academia classroom so positively had he stabbed Academia in the back. He clearly is just as if not more respected as Edo is, who was a general in the Academia invasion. Cyber Dragon Infinity is an Xyz card, so he could have went in with Dennis, gained the trust of Heartland citizens, and helped destroy Heartland from the inside out. Maybe he was carded. The only Xyz duelist who is probably on par with Ryo is Kaido, and the thought of a Ryo-Kaido duel just makes your mouth water. I guess we will never understand why a legendary legacy duelist never showed his face in the show. I guess it will always be a case of what could have been had they introduced Ryo at some point, but the question of where he is or what happened to him is my number 1 unanswered question from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V. That is that. I hope you guys enjoyed my top 10 unanswered questions or unexplained moments from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V. This was my second video during Bonanza Week, and we still have 4 different top 10s to get to this week alone. The fun really has just begun. Sorry, I had to. Let me know if I missed any more moments, and please try your best to explain any of these or give any theories regarding these down below in the comment section. Really, really excited to hear from you guys, as always, and I will talk to you down below, as always. Whether you agree or disagree, I still really hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.